Who's excited for this? This is going to be fun. Thank you all for coming today. The last time we brought everyone together in person was back in 2023 at the Framework Next Level event. That's when we introduced the first AMD-powered Framework Laptop 13 and the Framework Laptop 16. We've spent the nearly 2 years since then building everything that we're going to be showing you today. It's a lot, so let's get started. 5 years ago, we had a vision for a different kind of consumer electronics company, one grounded in product longevity. When we first shared what we were building, we got a ton of excitement, obviously from folks like all of you. We also got a lot of skepticism. I get it. Consumer electronics is hard. There are a massive number of companies that had great products, awesome products, but just didn't make it. We don't care about those odds. What we care about is the mission. And it's increasingly clear that many of you do too. We've actually grown our sales year over year, every year since starting this company. Even when the broader, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? That's a good chart, the hockey stick. You want that shape. Even when the broader PC industry has been in decline. It's been a tough few years for the PC industry, it really has been. We actually believe that we're currently the fastest growing laptop brand. So clearly this is resonating with you all. We're proving that it's possible to build a company around product longevity by actually doing it. So let's get started today with the Framework Laptop 13. For those of you who aren't familiar, Framework Laptop 13 is a thin, light, high-performance 13.5-inch notebook where you can replace literally every part of it in minutes using just the one tool that we include in the box. I actually do carry around a screwdriver at all times in case I need it. We also open sourced major parts of this product. We've seen the community and partners do incredible things with that. We've seen cyberdecks. We've seen gaming handhelds. We've seen a RISC-V mainboard and multiple open source laptop projects. It really is wild stuff. So the first product that I'd like to introduce today is the latest version of the Framework Laptop 13. We're probably the only company that can announce a product that looks the same 4 years in a row and get cheers every time. That's okay, it's actually the point. Even though it looks the same on the outside, it's new inside in all the right ways. Framework Laptop 13 now comes with AMD's latest Ryzen AI 300 series processors. Yes, these are awesome. These are really great processors, they truly are. These come with AMD's new Zen 5 cores, Radeon RDNA 3.5 graphics, a 50 TOPS NPU. It really is super, super impressive. For the first time, we also have a new version that includes a Ryzen 9 processor. This thing comes with some insane performance. It has 12 CPU cores and a 16-core GPU. This thing is seriously, seriously impressive. I've actually been spending the last few months playing Final Fantasy Remake on a Framework Laptop 13 while testing it out. So if this product's late, now you know who to blame. It is super impressive though. That is the kind of game that in the last generation and previous generations would have needed discrete graphics, so that we're able to play a game like this on a machine that's this thin and light and portable is just super unique and super impressive. The team at AMD have just done incredible work this generation on the Ryzen AI 300 series processors. So even though we've been able to deliver pretty incredible performance on this product, it still stays cool and quiet. AMD has done fantastic work around core efficiency, and we've also updated the thermal system. We've now moved to a single heat pipe, and we've actually switched the thermal interface material over to Honeywell's PTM 7958 phase change material. That stuff is really awesome. We've actually moved our entire product lineup over to phase change thermal interface material now. We're also bringing in Wi-Fi 7 this generation with AMD's RZ717 Wi-Fi module. As always, all the ports on the Framework laptop are expansion cards. That means you can choose your ports and you can change them anytime you need to. This generation, we've actually enabled display output on all 4 ports. That means you can actually run 4 displays simultaneously on this thing. Beyond the mainboard, we've also revamped the keyboard. We kept that same awesome 1.5mm key travel that we've gotten a ton of positive feedback around, and we brought in new mechanical structure on the larger keys. We worked with our keyboard partner Lite-On to actually bring in this novel structure that replaces the traditional metal linkage bars with a new plastic structure. The challenge with the traditional structure is that those metal bars can actually resonate against the inner structure, causing buzzing when your speakers are cranked all the way up. This plastic structure actually eliminates that. We've also gone through millions of cycles of reliability testing on this to make sure it lasts as long as the original design. We refuse to get butterfly keyboarded on this. For pre-built systems, preloaded with Windows 11, we've also updated the keyboard artwork. We now have a Copilot key. This is actually a Copilot compatible laptop. Okay, all right. We've got some Copilot fans in here. That's great. People are excited about the new version of Clippy. That's cool. We get it. That's awesome. For those of you who are not excited about that, we, of course, always have our DIY edition where you can bring your memory, your storage, and your own operating system. These also come with new keyboard artwork. We actually have a total new set of artwork with no Windows key at all. Whoa, okay. Okay, I think maybe we've got more Linux users than Windows users in this particular crowd, which is cool. We actually, as always, designed deliberately for Linux compatibility, and we've already seeded units of the new Framework Laptop 13 to developers and maintainers at major distros. So if you're a distro maintainer and you don't see your logo up here, reach out to us. We want to work with you. We want to make sure that the Framework Laptop 13 is the best possible laptop for your community. Just like the last Framework Laptop 13, we've got a 61 watt-hour battery, an optional 2.8K 120 Hz display, the same 1080p webcam as the last generation, and all of that in a thin, light aluminum chassis that comes in under 16 millimeters thick and below 1.3 kilograms. You can see it really is just a normal-looking, normal-feeling laptop. We're also committed as a company to bringing transparency to consumer electronics. That's why we've reintroduced the translucent bezel. It looks so cool. We actually have 4 different translucent colors now. This is actually my favorite, probably the atomic purple that we have here. And to match those bezels, we also have 6 new USB-C expansion cards also in translucent. This thing, it really looks super wild. I love the level of customization that we've been able to deliver this generation. Pre-orders on the new Framework Laptop 13 open today, and we're going to ship this starting this April to all 32 countries that we deliver to. Pricing starts at $899 for the DIY edition and $1099 for pre-builts. And just like always, you can pick up the main board on its own and upgrade the Framework Laptop 13 that you hopefully already own. Where else? Oh, okay. Yeah. Framework Laptop 13 owners out there, great. We're also lowering the price of entry to Framework Laptop 13. We're keeping the previous generation, those actually pretty capable Ryzen 7040 series processors in Framework Laptop 13 in production, now starting at a new low of $749. We're on to our 7th iteration of Framework Laptop 13, and we're committed to keeping this product line going for many more years to come. So that's it today for Framework Laptop 13. Framework Laptop 16. Yeah, we got some 16 fans out there too. We started shipping this just over a year ago. Of course, we are still really just getting started on Framework Laptop 16. Right at the start, we open sourced the customizable input module system, and we've seen the community come up with some pretty incredible stuff. We've seen an RGB LED matrix, we saw an e-ink display. There's a lot of cool projects out there in community. One thing that's been really challenging though is keyboards. That thin height of the Framework Laptop 16 means you can't bring in things like traditional desktop mechanical key switches. There's just no space for that. The community's tried a lot of creative workarounds to get around it, but there really was no solve. So what we decided to build is a solution for that we're calling the one key module. It is a one key module. It's a fully self-contained mechanical and electrical key switch, just like you'd find in a normal desktop mechanical keyboard, but it is the same size as our normal keyboard, the same thickness. That means that you can actually fit it in a Framework Laptop 16. So with that, developers can create ortholinear layouts, ergonomic designs, and really anything else that they can come up with. We actually have a proof of concept of an ortholinear layout in a Framework Laptop 16 that you can try out in the demo area later. I have no idea how you can use that, but someone's gonna want that, so we have a proof of concept. We've been working with the team at OLKB on this, and we're gonna be seeding this to more keyboard developers soon. We're also gonna make this available through the Framework Marketplace later this year. We're, of course, many generations in on the Framework Laptop 13. We are really still getting started with our first generation of Framework Laptop 16. We are committed to delivering that same type of longevity, and we're excited for the long roadmap ahead on Framework Laptop 16. I keep saying we're just getting started, and I really do mean it. Our product philosophy is working, and we're always thinking about where to bring it next. Sometimes we spend years developing a product. Other times, a new idea catches us by surprise. Early last year, our friends at AMD started telling us about this massive new processor coming up on their roadmap. They actually announced it last month at CES. It's called Ryzen AI Max. It really is super impressive. This thing has up to 16 CPU cores, discrete level graphics in an APU, and up to 128 gigabytes of addressable memory. This thing is insanely capable. And whether or not you know what all those specs mean, this is a massive, massive processor. It was immediately obvious to us when AMD first told us about this that we needed to use it in something. We actually ended up resetting our product roadmap to make space for a product that takes in Ryzen AI Max. I am actually very excited to show you this product. What we put Ryzen AI Max into is the Framework Desktop. You might be wondering, why build a desktop? Aren't desktops already repairable? Aren't they already upgradable? Yes, obviously they are. In fact, the entire ethos around desktop PCs is part of what inspired us to make the Framework Laptop to begin with. PCs are awesome. I love PCs. It's just this insanely dynamic space. There are hundreds of brands and hundreds of millions of consumers all building inside of it. It's a space that I've been in for about 20 years, since the first time I built a PC. It was an Athlon XP that I built back in high school. Yeah, the entire culture around PCs is just incredible. All of the DIY, learning all the esoteric knowledge, building anything you can dream up, and sharing it with your friends at LAN parties. It really, truly is a fun culture, and we wanted to make it as accessible as we could to everyone. So we designed the Framework Desktop to be the easiest PC that you'll ever build. You can stick it in your living room, put it on a desk, carry it back to that LAN party. It's tiny, it's super quiet, but it's powerful too. You can play games, run CAD, use it as a network server, use it as a workstation. It's a PC, of course, you can do anything you want with it. Part of what makes this a Framework product, though, is that unlike most mini computers, we stuck to open PC standards everywhere we could. The mainboard in there with that Ryzen AI Max processor, it's actually just a standard mini ITX form factor. That means you can take it and stick it in your favorite case. We stuck to standards on the headers as well. We've got standard ATX power, 2 M.2 slots, a PCIe slot, and we've got a bunch of standard I/O. We've got 5 gigabit Ethernet, Wi-Fi 7, 2 USB 4 ports, and the power supply is also standard. This is really not proprietary. We've got a semi-custom Flex ATX design that we worked with FSP on. We designed this thing to stay as quiet as possible under load. And one thing to remember on this is that Ryzen AI Max, AMD originally designed this to be a laptop processor. We're using it in a desktop. We actually have a giant 120 millimeter fan in there, a standard fan. And so with that and this giant heatsink that we developed with Cooler Master, we're able to run this at 120 watts continuous while still keeping it quiet. This is obviously a lot more power than you can normally get out of a notebook. So we actually worked with Cooler Master on 2 fan options, and we also have a new version of one of Noctua's most popular 120 millimeter fans. Cooler Master and Noctua both actually contributed to the design of the thermal system in the Framework desktop, so this thing really, truly is super optimized. There is unfortunately one place where we couldn't live up to the norms of the PC space, and that is memory. Ryzen AI Max is limited to soldered LPDDR5X to get that massive memory throughput. This is actually something that we wrestled with a lot internally. It's something that we spend a lot of time with AMD on, but there just wasn't a technical solution for modularity while getting that massive 256 gigabytes per second of memory throughput. It was still important enough for us to bring Ryzen AI Max into a desktop that we took that trade-off. I've been waiting for someone to throw something at me, but I think you get why we built this. We took this game-changing processor and we unlocked every bit of performance in it is in a package that is really as modular as we could possibly make it. Let's go deeper into what the Framework desktop can actually do. I'd like to introduce Frank Azor, AMD's Chief Architect of Gaming Solutions, to share more about what we built together.
Thanks, Nirav. Thanks, everyone, for being here, and for those of you that are tuning in to the stream. It's nice to see so many friends and familiar faces here today. I think Nirav set it up really well. I mean, this processor is absolutely amazing. One of the things that makes it really amazing is that there's great processors out there for desktops, for laptops, for workstations, for gaming devices. There's really great specialized processors out there for all of these different types of workloads and different use cases. But what makes the Ryzen AI Max so special is that it's great for all of these use cases. It's one chip, basically, to serve all of your computing needs that are out there, from low power applications because of how scalable it is and its efficiency, all the way up to some of these crazy workloads that we're going to share with you here today. But what I wanted to hone in on is specifically gaming. So let's talk about what kind of gaming experiences you can expect from the Framework desktop and the Ryzen AI Max processor. So one of the great things about this processor is that it's using our latest technologies. So you have Zen 5 cores, you have a new optimized RDNA 3.5 graphics architecture, but all those desktop caliber, desktop grade gaming features that you find in our Adrenalin software, well, those are gonna all work on the Ryzen AI processor. So if you're using our AMD Fluid Motion Frames technology, our HyperRX performance enhancing technology, our anti-lag technology, all those features that work on our Radeon big discrete graphics cards, they're gonna work on this processor. Another great thing is that our upscaling technology, FSR, which is supported in over 400 games, is also gonna work right out of the box with the Ryzen AI Max processor. So what does that mean in terms of performance? Let's take a look at the kind of performance that you can expect from this thing. So this is 1080p max settings, or high settings, I should say, and max settings on a bunch of different games out there that are super popular. And what you'll see is, in native, you're getting well over 50, 60 frames per second. But when you turn on FSR, the frame rate nearly doubles, and in some cases even goes higher than double in a lot of these different games out there. And again, FSR supported in over 400 games. And if there's a game out there that you're playing that isn't supporting FSR, you can turn on our HyperRX technology, and that works with thousands of games that are out there. So you really are unlimited in being able to take advantage of this frame rate improvement technology. If we move on to 1440p, the performance story doesn't change much. You're getting well over 60 frames per second, in some cases over 100 frames per second in many of the popular games that are out there. There's simply nothing else out there in the market that can generate this kind of performance on a single chip design. This rivals 60 and 70 class discrete graphics that are out there. And we're doing this all on one single CPU. I'll take that, that's fine. So look, what you can expect is with the Framework desktop, you're going to be able to play all the games you want to play out there. Whether it's at 1080p, whether it's at 1440p, you're going to be able to get all the gaming features that AMD has to offer. It's a no compromise solution, and you're getting it in a form factor that's just absolutely amazing. This has been years of work between the AMD teams and the Framework teams, and I'm very grateful for the partnership of these two companies and for everybody that's been involved in being able to make this possible for all of you. So with that, thank you very much, and let me invite Narav back on stage. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Frank. This really is an insanely capable gaming machine. 1440p on most games at high settings is pretty awesome. You can do even more with it though. That big GPU, that giant memory bus, that maximum of 128 gigabytes of memory. I can see that some of you in the audience are guessing where I'm going with this. So what makes this an awesome gaming machine also makes it a killer AI box. And I know that you've all been fed a mountain of crap about AI PCs over the last couple of years, so I get it. There's some skepticism about AI. So let's actually clear the slate and talk about what we're actually doing with AI on the Framework desktop. I want to actually give you like a little introduction to AI and what's made running it locally so hard to date. When you're talking to a large language model, like ChatGPT, for example, that model is made up of a collection of billions of parameters that are all loaded into memory, and every time it generates a word of output, that entire set of parameters gets blasted through the memory bus and into the processor and gets crunched. And obviously, all of this is a very drastic oversimplification, but the key thing to remember is that the bigger that AI model is, the smarter and more capable it is, the more memory it needs, the more memory bandwidth it needs, and the more compute it needs to actually be able to generate that output. Obviously, there are a ton of services like ChatGPT doing this today in giant, unbelievably expensive servers in the cloud. But we believe that you shouldn't have to give up your data to the cloud just to be able to use and develop on AI. You should be able to bring your model, keep your data, and run AI right on your desk. There's a crazy and dynamic open source scene happening all around AI right now, and we want to help democratize it with the Framework desktop. You can actually run state-of-the-art models like Llama 3.3 70B at real-time conversation speed on a single Framework desktop. And just like, yeah, it really is pretty cool. I've been playing with it. And just like everything we do, we want to make this as accessible as we possibly can. There are some other ways to run AI locally today that aren't so accessible. You can go down to an Apple store right now and pick up a Mac Studio with 128 gigabytes of memory. That'll run you about $4,800. That's maybe not so accessible. There's NVIDIA Digits. That costs, actually, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what it costs. The Framework desktop, our 128 gigabyte Framework desktop, we priced it at $19.99. This is a very aggressive price. I don't know if we're actually making money on this. I'll check with the finance team later. Hopefully we are. Because the memory is not upgradable, we didn't want to rip people off with it. We really did want to make that top-end 128 gig SKU as reasonable as we possibly could. If you want to run even bigger AI workloads, though, you can actually do that. There's rightfully a ton of interest right now around DeepSeek. We're here in San Francisco. You literally cannot walk outside without hearing someone say the words DeepSeek. These are giant models. The full DeepSeek model, it's well over 600 billion parameters. That's a lot bigger than you can fit in even a single 128 gigabyte framework desktop. However, we have 5 gigabit Ethernet. We've got USB 4. That means you can actually network together multiple. You can network together multiple framework desktops or multiple mainboards and run those full models, including the full DeepSeek model. This thing is just wild. I love that you can take a state-of-the-art model and run it and own it right on your desk. It just looks crazy. We're actually going to have a demo of this over in the demo area as well, so you can check it out later. Obviously, all these AI use cases are only as good as the software stack that they run on. This is an area that AMD has been investing in heavily, and they've actually been advancing it pretty substantially, literally every week. To share more on this, I'd like to introduce AMD's VP of AI software, Anush.
Thanks, Neerav. What good is good hardware without software? We are here to make sure you have a good software experience. So let's talk about ROCm. ROCm's come a long way. In 2023, we were focused on day zero support. Day zero support of models, so when a model is released, it just works on ROCm. In 2024, we were focused on performant day zero support. And by that, I mean, if a model is released, like Llama or DeepSeek, it works performantly on ROCm. In 2025, we'd like to focus on accessibility of ROCm. How do we do that? One, we get PyTorch to work on all of AMD's AI hardware, starting from the laptops to desktops to obviously the Instinct GPUs. Two, we foster a very good community and developer ecosystem with like a robust CI/CD pipeline, ability for people to contribute code. And so we are setting up CI with like PyTorch, VLLM, SGLang, all the open source projects, so that ROCm is a first-class citizen and is accessible to everyone. But I don't think we're doing enough. We could do more. Are there any ideas on what we could do? Desktops? Any other ideas? Free computers, maybe? So we're going to give away 100 free framework desktops for local AI development and to foster the community. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Anush. I love it. 100 desktops for open source local AI developers. That is just awesome and a great way to advance ROCm. So amazing. This is really what PCs are about, that combination of open ecosystems around both hardware and software. Just like always, on the Framework desktop, we support both Windows 11 and Linux. We believe that 2025 is truly the year of the Linux gaming desktop. Yeah, might be. Decade's coming. For gaming on Linux, Bazlight's awesome, and the team at Playtron have been working on something really cool. We actually have demos of both of these on Framework desktops that you'll be able to try out right after this event. The Framework desktop is ultra customizable, just like all of our laptops are, and just like a desktop PC should be. It's got 2 expansion cards in the front for I/O. We've done some really fun stuff with personalization, too. You can choose between black and translucent side panels. We've got an optional carrying handle, so you can carry it over to that LAN party. And the front panel is also fully customizable. We have what we're calling the tile system, where you can choose between 7 different colors and a range of different logo designs that you can configure to your heart's desire. As always, we also open source the design of that tile system, so you can create your own, 3D print them, share them with the community, and really build anything that you'd like to. We've got some really cool stuff that we've been building internally around this already. The Framework Desktop is available both as a mainboard on its own and as a DIY edition where you can bring your fan, your storage, and your operating system. It takes less than 5 minutes to put it together. It really is the easiest PC that you'll ever build. As always, the only tool that you need is the one screwdriver that we include in the box. It is a slightly different screwdriver, but we do include it in the box. We're launching the Framework Desktop in 3 configurations. We already shared the top end 128 gig config. The base version comes in even lower, starting at $10.99. I can see a lot of you refreshing our website right now. Actually, maybe we should have run it on a Framework Desktop. We're going to be opening pre-orders actually right after this presentation ends, and the Framework Desktop ships early Q3. We can't wait for you to try it.